Hi, Jeff Rhodes here with another video on Power BI, part of the Microsoft 365 Power Platform. And if you haven't had a chance to check out my book, Creating Business Applications with Microsoft 365, please check it out. Also, I'm available for consulting, training, and other tasks related to the Power Platform. So we've been doing a series on doing a training registration app in SQL Server, and then with SharePoint, and then Dataverse. And my previous video to this, we did a visualization with the SQL Server version. So we got 2 more videos to go in this series, and on this one we're going to talk about SharePoint. So let's take a look. So here's one of the apps that we built that helps us set up instructors and courses, attendees, and signups. And you see I've got 4 SharePoint lists that I'm using for my data. And they've got lookup columns between them. So I'm going to right click and say edit data, because we're going to need this URL anyway, and will help us look. So there's the attendees, and then let me jump to the course sign up, because that's the most interesting one. That's where we get the work done. So if I go to my columns here, you see I've got 2 lookup columns. I'm looking up to the courses table, and I'm looking up to the attendees table. So that's how we're going to figure out how to deal with that when we get to Power BI. And let me jump to the course one, because that's similar. You can see I've got an instructor ID here, so I'm linking to an instructor because an instructor teaches a course. So if I go to the setups here, I've got that instructor ID. And let me just click on one of those just so you can see what it looks like. You can see I'm linked in to the instructor table, and I'm just adding the ID column, but I'm not grabbing the other stuff because I'm going to join the tables inside Power BI instead. So I don't need to mess with any of that inside SharePoint. So let's get started. So I've got a blank Power BI. Oh, and let me jump back for a minute. I do want to get this, the URL of the site. So I'm going to need that part right there up through the name of the site, which is called examples. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to say get data more. And then I'm going to go just search for SharePoint. And it doesn't really matter between SharePoint list and SharePoint online list, but I'm going to just pick the online one. And there is some difference between 2.0 and 1.0. I usually pick the newer one, but one thing that 1.0 can do is it can expand the columns a little bit differently. And so if you need particularly like attachments and things like that, I found it works better with 2.0. But let's go ahead and, with 1.0, but otherwise I do 2.0 almost all the time. There we go. It takes just a second. And I want to pick all of the lists that go with that. So I've got attendee, course sign up, and instructor. So I'm going to load those in. And first thing, well, let's let this load up. It doesn't have a whole lot of data, so it won't take very long. So it puts it into the model, but the main thing I want to show you in a second is that it doesn't really do the joins right at first. So if I come in here and collapse, you see when we did it with SQL Server, it kind of put all the foreign key and primary key together. And here, even though they're lookup columns, it just stuck them all there. So we can't do that part yet. But we'll get to that shortly. So let's go in and go to transform data. Let's go into my other screen for a minute. So let's come over here. There we go. And first couple things we want to do. So first thing we can do is we can rename the columns if we want to. But what I really want is just a custom column for the attendee. So I'm just going to say, name this one attendee. And I'm just going to put the first name, and then we're concatenate a space, whoops, like that, and the last name. And I could put, whoops, this is supposed to be first name, I can just change it there. And we could put organization, but we're not going to bother there, so there we go. And it looks like I have some blank records here. So that was when I was testing some of my things. So I'm going to remove the empty, like when I was working on the one app, because we had some functionality to add the user. If they didn't already exist, we end up with some blanks there. So I'm just going to get rid of all the empty ones. That's another nice thing that we can do. And then the next thing we want to do is course. So we'll just do these in order. Okay, now these ones we do want to rename it because we're going to go ahead and if we rename them here, then they're going to look correct in the whole visualization. So I'm just going to put in spaces. We're going to come back to instructor in a minute after I'm done renaming it. So we'll just say course description. And we're looking at the data types as well. Those look fine. They're just text. This is date time, so that's good. I'm just going to call this course start. Course end. And I'll say just location. And we don't need the course part, we'll just call it capacity. And then what I need to do, in order to join these tables, I need to take care of this instructor. So I click this right here and I'm going to say expand to new rows, which turns it into a record. And then I'm going to click it again. And all I really need is the lookup ID, because I want the primary key so I can link to it. So that's what, so I've got one instructor doing 4 of them and another instructor doing the other one. And that is the ID from the instructor table. So I'll be able to join them. And then I'm just going to rename that just so it matches what I did in SQL Server. And I called that instructor ID, the name of the column. All right, so similarly, actually I had one more custom column I wanted to do in course, because I want to have if it's a future session or not. I'm just going to add custom column. Not sure if it took the first time. There we go. I had to pause for a second. It was a little bit delayed. So I'm going to call this future. If I could spell. And all I want is to do is a true false. So if the course start is greater than datetime.local now. Like that. And it comes through as just plain text. So I'll change type to true false, just so it knows it is. And see, it changed the symbol there. All right, so let's now go to course sign up. So a little bit of renaming, so we'll do that first. Just put some spaces in. And call it, whoops. Looks like I'm a little bit overtaxing the system a little bit. It's a little bit delayed here. All right, well, it's back now. So I'm going to just rename that and put the spaces in. And the other thing is I don't need the time part of that, so I'm going to change this to a date just so that I don't have to display that. And then, oh yeah, sign up notes is over here. So again, just put the spaces in so it looks better. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did here to split out the course ID and the attendee ID. So same kind of thing. We're going to just say lookup ID. That'll give us the ID from the courses table itself. I'm going to rename that just to make it course ID. Like that. Same thing for the attendee. So it turns it into a record. Just grab the lookup ID and change that to attendee ID. All right, so we're done with that. And then instructor, only thing we really want to do there is I want to just build an instructor column there with a little bit of logic. So let's see if both of these have a title or not. Yeah, they both do. So, but I want it to work whether it has a title or not. So I'm going to add a custom column here. And I'm going to call it instructor. And I'm just going to do a little bit of logic. Plus it's kind of fun just so that it works either way. So we're going to say if title, oh, there it was the first one. If title not equal to quote. And if it doesn't work, then like if it picks up one that it shouldn't, then we can change that to null. It depends on what kind of database. I think with SharePoint it'll be quote, quote. So we say text.combine. So this is kind of like a concatenate function. We have to put the squiggly bracket in it. And then we just say first name. And then we want a space like that. And then we have last name. And since this is where the title is not equal to null, we'll put a dash like that. And then put title. Oops. There we go. Kind of have that in the way. So in squiggly bracket, parentheses, else. We just grab that first part. Like that. Close the squiggly bracket, close the parentheses. See if that works. Yeah, so we've got one instructor column that we needed. All right, so now let's go over to close and apply. Let it load up. And what we want to do now is go back to our model and go ahead and set those up there. So what we want to do is put these in the right order. So let's put course on this side. Let's do the instructor first. Let's see if we can move that up a little bit so we can see the ID. There we go. I can't really see it very well. Where'd it go? There it was. We need to see instructor ID here. If we can't do it, you can just set it up afterwards. But if we drag it like that, then it puts it together. So we go from the instructor table, the ID, to the course instructor ID, and it's one instructor to many courses. So that's exactly right. Notice we can't check this assume referential integrity, but we'll get to that when we get to Dataverse. So that's great. That's what we want. And then we want to do the same thing with course ID here, which we can see. So we want course to course ID. So ID to course sign up, and they match up one to many because you can sign up for multiple courses, so that's good. We save that. And then coming from the other side here, scroll down here a little bit, see if I can, there we go. Oh, there's the attendee ID. I missed it the first time. So we go ID for attendee, get the idea to the attendee ID, one to many. All right, so that's how we set up the join. So now we can treat this as all one big table. So if you used to Access or SQL Server where you join, you make a query and put them all together, that's effectively what we did here. So let's go ahead and just finish off and build our visualizations. So this one's going to end up being exactly the same as in our previous video because we visualize it the same, but we're going to use different tables. Of course, I don't need any filters here. So this is going to be called registrations. So I'm going to grab the ID like that, and we're going to rename that to be, oops, number of registrations. I'll kind of make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to rename this page to registrations. Let's go ahead and build our table next. I like to put it across the bottom. The whole width maybe, yeah, about like that. And what I want here, most of the stuff's from the course table. I'm going to grab the course name, and then I'm going to grab the instructor out of the instructor table. Remember that custom column that we made. Don't really need that anymore. Then I'm going to get some more stuff out of the courses table. Going to get the description. Going to get the start. And on the start, I want it to not summarize it by quarter and so forth, so just click it back there. But I do actually want the time on there because that's important. I want the course end, same kind of thing. And I want to have the attendee that signed up for the course. Again, that custom column that we have. Got myself and Sammy Hagar, good company there. And then I'm going to go back to the course sign up and get the sign up date. Again, I don't want to summarize that, so I have to go back and notice it puts a long date, so we'll fix that for a minute. I don't care that much that it was a Wednesday. And I'll put the sign up notes. There we go. So let's go back and fix that sign up date real quick. So we come over here and find that, and you see it just defaulted to whatever it wanted. And I'm just going to make this a short date like that. Go back, and that gives us a little more space. And I can just kind of drag this over a little bit. Make sure it doesn't wrap. There we go, like that. And let's go ahead. I want to put a bar chart as well, so I'll fit that nicely for me. I'm going to put the course name on the, oops, scroll up a little bit. So on the y-axis, I'm going to put the course name. Oops, I'm in the sign-ups here. And in the x-axis is going to be the number of registrations again. So we'll grab the ID. Again, it says count of ID, which I hate, so I'll say number of registrations. And to make it kind of cool, least for low volumes. It may not work that well when there's tons. I'll go ahead and put the attendee as the legend. And it turns different colors for the people as the attendee. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the data labels as well so you can see those. So that looks pretty good. So I'll finish off with some slicers. So I'm going to do a slicer there. I'm going to put the course start date. Oh, got to drag it there. There we go. I'll put that up here. And then a couple more slicers. So I need 3 more. So I'll do them relatively short so I can do the attendee. So this could be, and by the way, you can do this for a roster. It's kind of what that table's for. So you can like select the right course, get a roster, and or you can say for attendee, say everything the attendee has signed up for or taken, that kind of thing. So I'm going to say attendee here, and I like to turn those into drop downs instead. Where did that go? There we go. Make it a little thinner. I'll copy and paste that one. Whoops. Try it again. There we go. This one I'll make it course name. Oops, gotta move that over to there. Like that, there we go. See, I get my different courses, including ones that don't have registration. And then we have one more. And I like to use that future session part. Let's see if, there we go. And I might even change that one back too, since it's only true or false. Whoops. A little higher. There we go. Put it back to a vertical list. There we go. So I can see what's my future sessions. Because I don't have any of them in the future since all my time's passed there. So let's change the singing 101. Let's see if I can go back. So that's one nice thing about SharePoint. It's pretty easy to go back and change the data. So I'll go back to course. And we'll just edit this one. And I'll just move it a month later. And we'll change the end date to the 27th. Whoops. Here we go. And let's refresh. There we go. There we go. So you notice it went away on false, and now on true, I've got a course down there. All right, so you can see how that is. Let's do one more, and I'm going to duplicate this. So it's got most of what I need. And I'm going to call this courses instead. And we could do one for attendees. But mostly it's going to be the same. So I'm going to change this. This is rather than searching on registrations, though. This is going to be course ID. So again, I'll call this number of registrations. I'll copy that in case I can use it again. So it's actually number of course. Oops, actually I didn't want registrations. That's what it was before. I wanted number of courses. There we go. This part's okay. This one, instead of attendees, because we're not talking about attendees here, I want this to be instructors that go with the courses. So I'm going to bring that over like that. There we go, and I have a couple instructors. Course starts okay. This one, I want it to be instructors. I want to see courses by instructors, so I'm going to put instructor here. That, and then I'm going to, my x-axis, rather than number of registrations, it'll be number of courses. See if it's still on the clipboard. There we go. And then I don't want, it doesn't make any sense to have attendees in there, so we'll get rid of that. And on this one, we just get rid of the attendees as well. So we got a little bit more space. Oh, and actually let's put, I didn't put it before, but we can put future session in there. So we can see if it's true or false. All right, so pretty much done. Let's go ahead and save. There we go, save video. Training registrations. Whoops. Didn't seem to take. Oh, I guess I used that name already. Let's try it again. Oh, that's funny. It took it and then it's like I was saving it again. All right, well that makes sense. And then you can publish, and then you can go ahead and publish it to Workspace. I just have my workspace, but you could share it to if you have a shared workspace already set up with your team, you can publish it that way. Let's go ahead and open it up just so we see what it looks like. There we go. Since I was on courses, which is why it defaulted to that, but I can go in, pick a particular course, see who's signed up for it, and so forth. While we're here, let's go ahead and go to the data, which moves every time I change. I think it's on one lake. There we go. And I can say settings. And what we want to do here is go ahead and set up our credentials. Notice that it always misses our credentials, so you want to pick OAuth 2. I usually say organizational. It'll prompt me to pick my account. And then now that I have that, then I can turn on the scheduled refresh. So I can pick my time if I want. I'm -7 if I can find it. There we go. And I could set up that I want to turn it on at like every day at 7 a.m. I'm going to cancel it because I don't really want that, but that's how you set it up. So hope this was helpful, and look for one more video, and we'll do this again with the Dataverse version.